Hey guys, wanted to stop in and say hello, checking out the new live stream capability I've been playing with. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to number one, to test it, and number two, to teach you real quick how you can make $150,000 in a year doing absolutely nothing. Okay, this will be a short, quick, and easy case study. And basically, how it works is this. Back in 2014, I bought a little 4 unit apartment building. Okay. And my wife and I moved in 1 unit. Okay. I bought it with a VA mortgage. So I got zero money down. Okay. I've done a case study on this. So if you want to get the case study, I will put it in the comments below. There's a little case study that breaks the whole thing down. But for the purpose of today and being quick, I wanted to kind of give you the backstory. Backstory is we bought the building in 2014 with a VA mortgage, paid $215,000 for it. We moved into 1 unit. Using a VA mortgage, I didn't have to put any money down. So that worked out quite well. We were able to move into it, do some renovation. I did some wholesale transactions. I am a licensed agent, sold a bunch of houses. At the same time, generated the revenue to cover the cost of the rehab. Initially, which I don't recommend, I used a credit card to cover the rehab, about $40,000. But I was able to pay it off in 90 days. I don't suggest you do that. Please don't try that at home. But at the time, it fit the bill because at the time I didn't have a lot of money. So we used what we had to get it done, to get the rehab done, rented it out to long-term tenants. Then about a year later, we changed the use. We took 2 of the units, changed them into short-term rental. When we changed them to short-term rental, we increased the income, right? So we did quite well. In 2017, so fast forward to 2017, had the property appraised. The appraisal came in. Remember, we bought it for 215,000. The appraisal came in for $380,000. Okay, $380,000. Pretty healthy uptick, right? A lot of you say, what did we do to change things? Well, not a whole lot. First of all, well, we renovated the property. So we bought it at 215. That was the report before it was repaired. We spent about $40,000 on repairs. So that puts us up to what, 220, and but we even though we earned the revenue to cover that, so we didn't have to like tap that on a mortgage or anything like that. So essentially paid cash for the repairs and got that squared away. Then from there, the cool thing is we went and changed the use to, like I said, to short-term rental. But we didn't really know what we were doing in short-term rental starting out. And there's a lot of pitfalls, a lot of learning and things like that. We got through that learning process and then discovered real quickly that the by doing a better job, and one of the things we've done most recently is to hire management, professional management for the short-term rental, we've raised the income even more. So year after year, because we changed the use, we provide a different product to our clients, we get a better result. Okay. By doing that, we've just got another appraisal back. It's now appraised. Ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? It's now appraised for $530,000. That's kind of crazy. Um, Part of the reason I'm making this short video, this live stream, is to talk to you also about responsible leverage. But before I do that, so essentially we've the value of the property has changed by $150,000 in 12 months. In 12 months, it's gone up by $150,000. If I leverage that money, if I refi the property, do a cash out refinance, that would be constitute a tax-free payday. A lot of you say, how's that possible, Tyler? Well, it's real simple. When you do away with the, sorry guys, I had a problem with the camera here. When you do away with the earning part of the income, there's no taxable, no taxes. And by that I mean borrowed money is not taxable. If you borrow money and then pay it back, that's not considered income. Therefore, there's no taxes. Now, I'm not a CPA, don't even pretend to be one, nor am I an attorney. But you can ask any CPA, if you go borrow money, as long as you pay it back, that's not considered taxable income. It's borrowed money. It's a whole different category. So I could take that if I wanted to as a cash-free, tax-free payday. I'm not going to do that because what that's doing is raising the debts process or the debt ceiling, the debt service on the property, which was going to reduce the cash flow. Frankly, in my opinion, 4 units, although we produce very, very well, $530,000 mortgage on 4 units is going to be over leverage, in my opinion. So what do? Do you let that money sit there? And this is why a lot of people get caught up in equity and whatnot. It doesn't really matter that the building's worth $530,000. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It doesn't matter whatsoever. What matters is what we do with that value. Can we use that value? Can we leverage that value into something else? Now, a different way of looking at that is if we, let's say we unleashed that, freed up that equity, pulled that out of the property, now we've got an extra $150,000 cash that is tax free. Now, let's say we take that $150,000, we invest it into another property. Let's say we go out and pay cash for a property for 150,000. Let's say we pick up a little triplex or something for 150 or duplex, somewhere in that ballpark. What if we use that $150,000 as a series of down payments and then use the revenue from those properties to pay back that loan? At the end of the day, folks, what really matters is what the math tells you to do. Every situation is different. And I don't think that anybody, including me, could sit down and say, whatever the solution is would be wrong, except for if you're just going to go out and burn through the money. If you're going to leverage that kind of revenue, if you're going to put that kind of debt service on a small building, and you're concerned about, you should be concerned about it. Are you over leveraging? The question you have to ask yourself is, what's going to pay the bill? So the 530,000, this is a mistake a lot of people made in the housing crash. People over leveraged their properties and they couldn't afford the payments. The only way I would leverage any of that newfound equity, because that's really false equity in my opinion. It's just because of market demand and a lot of people overpaid for properties. So it's created false equity in the property. If I decided to leverage it, the only way I think would make sense to leverage it is if 100% of that money was used to generate more money. So let's say I borrow that money at 4%, 4.5%, 5%. If I can earn 18, 20% on another income property, which is not rocket science, anybody can do that. It's not hard if you're just a buy and hold landlord and you buy and get a decent deal for yourself and you leverage responsibly. Those properties, those new properties would not have as much debt on them. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different outlook, but it just goes to show you that you can easily make $150,000 on a small 4-unit building in one year if you just wait. Okay. All we did was we changed how we earn the income on that building. We changed the amount of revenue that it makes. We've obviously done improvements over the years and whatnot. But the more important thing that you have to focus on is if you change the use, if you maintain good books, if you're responsible, you maintain good solid books that you can show an appraiser on multifamily properties. This also includes office space and commercial and things like this. You can continue to raise the value. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the big difference between single family and multifamily, in my opinion, / commercial. In the single family space, comparable sales are the only method they can use to come up with the amount of the value of the property. That's usually the only thing the appraisers are going to give you is comparable sales. Now, the numbers I'm giving you, full disclosure, the $530,000 figure is based on comparable sales. It's a 4-unit building, so they're not using. I'm not using the income method to give you that number. The income method, just to give you a comparison, based on the income method approach, the value of this building is $628,000. $628,000, which technically takes the found value, the increased value, up by $250,000 in 12 months. Mind blowing, isn't it? Keep in mind, though, it's about responsible leverage, right? Making sure that whatever you're going to do with that money generates more money at a rate higher than the cost of funds. So for me, I know if my cost of funds is, say, 4 or 5% interest, I have to factor in the closing costs into that, right? Got to factor in how much it's going to cost me to borrow that money, and then put that into another property. Let's say I paid cash for another property, or I put 50% down or 30% down or whatever it was. Those profits, a portion of that profit has to roll back to cover that additional debt service. That's what I have for you today, guys. I hope you found value in this. If you did, please make sure you like this video. If you're not already a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. You being a subscriber lets me know that this content is valuable for you. I'm going to have more live streams and things like this coming up in coming weeks. So thank you for stopping by today. I appreciate you watching this. And again, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you have questions about this or comments, you can leave them in the comments below. Thank you very much.